Welcome back, guys. This is Jake with Jacoby and Company Woodworks, and today we're going to be making a miniature Lego display to hang on a wall. This is one I already made, but I need to make another one for my son because he has way too many Legos. So let's get this down, let's take it to the shop, and let's get started. Okay, guys, we're in the shop now. We are at the bench. I got this off the wall. I want to show you the outer dimensions. So we are 17.5 by 25.5 long. The inside measurements, I made those 16 inches and I spaced them about 2 inches apart. But I wanted to, my son asked me if I could make another one of these, and of course I told him I would. Now, before I agreed to it, I probably should have went down and checked to see how much walnut I have, because this is all I got. Now, I think I will have enough. I'm not 100% sure, but this looks like that'll make a side, and I need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and I have 2, 4, 6, I got 8. So I need 2 more of the cross members and 1 more long side. So I think I can get that out of here, even with this gnarly knot. I should, boy, I hope it's gonna be tight. If not, I'll have to go to the wood shop and buy some more walnut. So guys, let's get this over to the joiner. I wanna get the back side here flat and see what I'm working with. My joiner's only an 8-inch, so I may have to, yeah, I'm gonna have to nip a little bit of this off first on the bandsaw so it can fit through the joiner. So let's go ahead and do that first at the bandsaw, take it to the joiner, and we'll come back. Okay, guys, we just got back from the joiner. That knot is pretty nasty, but if I can cut right here on the table saw, just to the edge of that, this is a piece about the same size as what we need. If I can line that up right there, it gets pretty darn close to fitting in there. Now, the smaller pieces, I can get them out of here no problem. So let's see, I'm gonna take us over to the table saw, rip this knot off, get into some good solid wood, and see if we can get that piece out of there. If not, we'll jump in the truck and head to the wood shop. Okay, guys, we got that back from the thickness planer, and I think 25.5. We are 26.25, and we have 1 inch wide, so we're good. We're going to get another long strip out of this piece, and then we can get our 2 shorter pieces we need out of the rest of it. All right, guys, we made it. We have enough. We actually have one extra piece for our cross members. So that worked out really good. If there's one that has a knot or a blemish, again, it's for my son, so he's not going to care, but I'll go ahead and pull it out and not use that and use the other piece. So what I'm going to do to save a little bit of time, I'm going to take all these over to the thickness sander and run them through each side, one pass, just to clean them up. That way I don't have to stand here and sand each side with the palm sander. So since I have it, I'm going to use it. I'm going to run over there and let's sand them real quick. We are back from the thickness sander. We got all of our pieces to the same height and thickness. All these are the same height and thickness. Here's our two long legs for the sides. And here is all of our cross members. I call them cross members. All of the shelves, if you will. So what we want to do, we got 25.5. Let's go ahead and lay these out 25.5 inches. And then these need to be 16. Yeah, 16 inches. So what I'll do, I'll cut these since there's only two of them. We'll just take these over to chop saw. I'll mark these at 25.5, cut them off. And then I'm going to set up a stop block. That way all of these are exactly the same. And I don't have to mark 10 boards. So we'll just go ahead and set up a stop block over there and cut them up. Okay guys, we got those chopped at the chop saw station. The next thing we got to do before we start assembly is drill all of our holes. Now these are 3/4 inch holes. I only went in about 1/8 of an inch. I set a stop on the drill press. I'll show you that. 3/4 inch, and what that does on those little Lego miniature people, when their feet are together, it comes out to right about 3/4 of an inch. They fit perfectly down inside of that. So that just kind of gives them a little bit of a resting spot inside of there. That way, if this would get bumped, now it's going to be mounted on a wall, but still, if that would get bumped, or if you go to reach to grab one and my fat fingers, I hit another one, it's less likely it's going to fall over. And it kind of gives them an even spacing too, so when it's on the wall, it looks really cool. So what we have here for spacing, I did those at 1.5 inches wide, and I came in, looks like 1.25 inches. Okay, 1.25 inches from the ends, and then 1.5 inches the whole way across. That'll give us our even spacing. So let's go ahead and lay them out. And what I'm going to do is just put blue painter's tape right down the middle. just one strip. We'll lay out one of these, and then I'm going to get them all in a row, use our framing square, and then transfer all the marks rather than doing every single one individually. So just expediting some time on that. So 1.25 inches, and then we're going to go 1.5 inches the whole way, and that should leave us 1.25 inches at the other end. So 1.5 inches. And 1.25 inches at the other end, guys. So we have that laid out perfectly even. So what we'll do is go ahead and stack these up, put them in a row. Whatever side you want up, mine are all pretty even. This one has a little blemish, so I'll flip it over. Okay. Put a piece of painter's tape on each one. Take our framing square, get them all lined up. Clamps. Okay guys, so we have all of our marks. So 1.25 inches from each end, and then 1.5 inches throughout the middle. That'll give us evenly spaced holes. Now on a Forstner bit, you have a tip right there. I'm sure you can see that. All we have to do now, that tip is going to correspond to our pencil mark. Over on our drill press, I have a fence. So I'm going to set the fence. That way, whenever we slide our piece up to the fence, that bit will always be center on the piece this way. And all we got to do is make sure that point hits that pencil line. And then they'll all be the same. So let's go over to the drill press. We'll see if we can get that set up and get all these holes drilled. We're at the drill press. I got the fence set up. That way the Forstner bit is always in the center of the piece. That takes out, if you guys don't have a fence, that's fine. You just have to mark center. And then that's one more variable. You just got to make sure your bit lines up both ways on that. I have a fence, so I can just take one of those variables away. Now all I got to do is make sure that the point of the Forstner bit lines up with that pencil mark when it comes down. That's all I got to do. You probably can't see that in the shadow, but let me get this depth stop set up for 1/8 of an inch, and then we'll start banging these holes out. back at the bench, just finished up drilling our 90 holes over at the drill press. It only took a few minutes. When you have a jig and you have it set up like that, it goes relatively quick and smooth. So I'm just going to peel the tape off here. Actually kind of neat having the holes like that. Okay, so we got them all laid out. Now on the prototype, guys, let me grab that. I have the front rounded over. So I'm gonna go ahead and grab the router table. I already have a 1/4-inch bit in it from when we did the cutting boards. So it should be set up ready to go. I'm just gonna run the front 2 edges. I'm not running the back. On the back, it's square, because it's gonna go against the wall. So we don't need to round over that back side. But I am gonna round over the front 2 edges. That way, if you reach in, you're not gonna hit that sharp edge. All right, so I got those pieces all sanded up. They're ready to go. Got them sanded to 180. There's one more thing I need to do. The top piece to this display is solid, but what I did, I cut it narrower than the rest. And that's because I got a plate I mounted to the back. That way I can fasten it to the wall. So rather than attaching it, you know, from the bottom or running screws or brads through the top and having them blow out, and then you got to snip them off and fill it with wood filler. I'm going to cut this top piece right here a little bit more narrow than the rest of them. So whatever the thickness of this back piece, which I'm going to make it 3/8 of an inch, I need to take 3/8 of an inch off of this. That way it sits flush when you put the two pieces together. So let me get that done real quick. All right, so we have our two pieces. This is the top. I went ahead and ripped that thickness off the back. And this is going to be our cleat that sits underneath that I can drill a couple holes in and attach it to the wall. Now guys, you can go ahead, I'm just gonna glue this. You can go ahead and do a half rabbet on the back of that if you want. Same thing with the shelves. I'm butting them in and I'm just gonna shoot a couple brad nails in the end. The reason I'm doing that, number one, there's no weight. If there was a lot of weight to this project, like, let's say like porcelain figures or something like that, then I would go ahead and I would rabbet all of this, which would give it some more strength. I would rabbet the cross members into the side pieces, and I'll show you that later on in some other projects. It's just not necessary here. It just isn't. There's no weight with these Lego figurines. So, I mean, this glue is going to do way more than what is actually needed. Glue makes a super, super strong joint. And that's all we need for these Legos. So I'm just going to put these couple clamps on here. Let me grab one more spring clamp for in the middle. And we'll let that set up. Now let's spin around. What I did over here, I have a sawhorse, a couple sawhorses set up. Now, when I went to assemble this last time, it is extremely difficult when you have these built. Just imagine this put together like our display over there. When you try to get finish down inside of that and they're only a couple inches apart, it's extremely difficult to get the finish in there. So what I'm going to do is just spray a couple coats of finish on both sides. You can do the front and the back also, so all 4 sides really. And then let them dry. We can go ahead and assemble the piece, and then I'll put a couple coats on the whole piece. But this will allow us to get finish inside of, in between the shelves, a lot easier than when it's assembled. I'm just going to do 3 sides for now. That way I can let it sit on the back side. And this is a water-based polyacrylic. It's a clear semi-gloss. This stuff dries really fast, which is why I like it. All right, guys, we'll give them a few hours to dry. Okay, we're back at the bench. Everything has dried. We are ready for assembly. One thing I did off camera, the spacing between our shelves is 2 inches. So what I did just to help with assembly, I just took a chunk of walnut. It could be anything. It could be pine, plywood, doesn't matter, out of the bin over there. And once I get the bottom shelf set, I'll just drop that in there, and that'll give me the spacing for the next shelf, so on and so forth. So I don't have to measure both sides, and it won't get off a little bit. So just a little trick of the trade, guys. So let's go ahead, let's get the bottom piece on, and I'm just going to put a little dab of glue. Don't want a lot. I don't want a bunch for squeeze out. Just going to put a little dab of glue on both sides, because why not? Make sure we have our rounded side out because the back's square. So we'll put our rounded side out to the front. We're looking at the front of this. And then I'm just going to take my 18 gauge brad nailer, and I have 1 3/16 brads in there. We'll just go ahead and pop 2 brads in each end. That lined up. I want to make sure that first one's lined up exactly where you want it, because everything else is going What I was saying before I was rudely interrupted by my compressor is, get that first one set exactly where you want it, because when we go to use our spacer block, our scrap, everything's going to work off of that bottom piece. So if your bottom's out 1/8 of an inch, all of them are going to be out that amount. So we'll take our next one. Again, just a little dab of glue. Just an insurance policy, if you will. Rounded side out. Two brads. We'll just hold it tight with our spacer block. And we'll just move right on up the process here. Nice tight fit. All right, guys, there it is. The one on the left is the one I took off his wall that I made before, and the one on the right is the one we just finished. So it's an exact duplicate. I'm going to go ahead and throw 1 or 2 more coats of finish on this one to get it the sheen to match. It's definitely a lot lighter since we only have 1 coat on it so far. As soon as this dries, I'll take these inside, hang them back up, let my son fill it up with some Lego figurines, and then I'll attach a little video of it when it's all done. Okay, guys, he has them filled up. It looks like I'm going to be building a 3rd one here in the very near future. This boy has way too many Legos. So, but they turned out great. If you enjoyed the video, like, subscribe, and
be kind to one another.